Hi there. So, manage the metadata service application have two primary functionality in SharePoint. First of all, it's a storage for enterprise keyword inside the SharePoint. The second one, it acts as a distribution of taxonomy element. What that means, it acts, each manage the metadata service instance is represented by content type hub. This, which actually it's a site collection by end of day. That one, the responsibility for it to publish the content type and associated it to a specific site column or some metadata. We will see about that later on. Basically, if we're gonna talk about columns inside the SharePoint, each SharePoint list have SharePoint list column. This column have a data type, starting from single line, or we can say it like string, number, currency, date time, HTML, whatever. But the bad point or the shortage about this SharePoint list column, it's only associated to that list. For example, if you would like to use the same site column or the same SharePoint list column with another list, you cannot do that. That's why they are presenting for you site column. Site column you will create it one time and you will use it in different SharePoint list. It will not associate it to a specific list. And definitely it will have as well different data type. Okay, we name it, site column. Okay, and let's move on about content type. Content type, it's basically about reusable content. What that mean? For example, you have right now a company and that company have different project. For example, it have three type of project: large project, medium, and small. And if we're gonna talk about the first category, the large project inside that company, it will have for each upcoming large project the same template. It will have the same documents, the same proposal, the same metadata, the same keyword, everything about it. It will be a common documents that it will be used with each upcoming large project. This is like a repeated. So why each time I have to create all of that story each time? No need to do that. I can create that one only one time at the first beginning, and it's called right now a content type. It will be reusable. If we have another large project, I will use the same directly. If we have the third large project, I will as well use the same. So content type, it means about reusable content. No need to create from scratch the same thing every time. I will give you one more example. In each company that if you would like to take, for example, sick leave, you have to fill a document. Or if you would like to apply for, a business trip, you need to fill some document template, correct? So why each time I have to open the Word document from scratch, an empty document, I have to build the template each and every time? It doesn't make sense. This is the mean of content type. I will have a content type or a template for a business trip, and it will be used with each employee that he would like to apply for a business trip. That means about content type. Content type have a lot of points here. For example, gonna be used for governance, for reusing, as well it will be used in the workflow itself. We will talk about it later on. As well, content type can have inheritance. You can have a parent content type, and you can have some child content type, which it will inherit the most common values or the most common metadata from the parent content type. Okay. And the most important part here, the content type is reusable across all the site collection. That's very important to know about that. It will not be dedicated to a specific document library. No, it will be used across all the site collection. Okay, let's move on and talk here about manage the metadata. Manage the metadata, it's about a way to organize your organizational taxonomy and to store your enterprise keyword that is used by this company. Perfect. So As we know, managed metadata, it will be used later on about navigation, and we will talk about all of that later on. But inside managed metadata, when I come to the practical after some time, you have to know some terminology. First of all, there is something called a term set. Term set, it's nothing, but it's about, it's a group of related terms inside a specific term set. Okay, for example, as we said before, all of those terminology or all of those terms related to engineering, related to medical, related to whatever, finance, and exactly like that. So term is just an individual or a single value, which it will be stored inside a term set. Term set, as we agreed, it's about group of data, okay? And each term set have an owner, which he will give, some permission, who will be a manager for this term set, who will be the contributor, okay? So that's about, some idea here about managed metadata. Try right now to take like an overview about it. We will talk about it later on. And there is, something deprecated, called it Folk Cinnamon inside SharePoint 2016. It was, there in SharePoint 2013. Basically, users before was like have some tags, and these tags, allow them to do some filtration inside, this managed metadata. But right now, this one is deprecated, and it is not used anymore inside, SharePoint 2016. Okay. So what else we have here? We have here very, very important part. Here is something called retention. Retention, I will talk about it right now. Retention, it's about, the period that this document will maintain or will hold this document. For example, right now you have a document library. What I meant to say, this document library have some documents, and this will be stored inside this document library for a specific period of time. Or on the other hand, like right now you have a SharePoint list, okay? And inside this SharePoint list, it's basically store, some value about, some employee or about anything. And this value, it will be stored inside that SharePoint list for a specific period of time. Once this retention time it's completed or expired, there will be an action. This action, it's mostly commonly used inside a workflow. It will, do some actions. It will trigger some actions, okay? That it's basically about retention. And that one of the behavior of each document library or each SharePoint list. Other one, auditing. Auditing, it's as well very important. It's basically used to track all the actions that happen in this document library, starting from who opened this document, who view, at which time, by which person. It's like of auditing on that actions that happened on side that document library. Barcode, it's like a new adding feature. It's like to track that, not track like, you can add or you can, fetch the value of that document library or of that SharePoint list item using definitely, barcode. But right now, if you're gonna use that feature, definitely you need a third party to, start take the barcode of your documents or of your products. One more part here, what that Darwish information management policy. Here is that once you're gonna build your information architecture and you take the business requirement, you have to know that each organization have some policy about their data. For example, you're gonna categorize the documents. These documents, it will be public. That one, it will be private. It will be confidential. Some kind of confidentiality for that document that no one can view it. So you have to, go through what's the terminology used inside that organization and what's their policy that applied on that organization. Okay, so definitely that policy you can apply it on not only documents, you can apply it on list as well to the content type. Okay, let's move on. One of the most common used inside all the SharePoint portals, they are using managed metadata as a navigation. this navigation on top of the SharePoint portal, like a home. After that, like the department and all of the terms inside that department, HR, finance, and etc. Basically, they are using it like a navigation hierarchy. Okay, that's everything related to that first part, and we will have a demo, and we will go through about it, and we will talk about each one of that in a very detailed way and in a practical way. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next